Good Friday, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Conversation Daily News. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Well, we made it to the end of another week, but of course, every news headlines coming up on this Friday. We have the truth of the day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and in today's entertainment spotlight, he's been part of my conversation with actor Michael Jai White. Enjoy today's broadcast. For Conversation Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with your Friday headlines. In Mississippi news, we're still in the thick of it, epidemiologist says. While Mississippi's COVID-19 numbers are trending down, they're still very high, according to the state epidemiologist Dr. Paul Beers. Overall, numbers are coming down, Beers said on Thursday. Our 7-day average is really at the same point as when we were having the winter surge. Beers said in August alone, 95,000 COVID-19 cases were reported. That represents about 20% of the total cases that we reported that have been reported to us during the entire pandemic, Beers said. We're still in the thick of it, guys. Mississippi is number 1 in the nation for COVID-19 deaths per capita, according to state health officials. Deaths usually follow a big surge in cases. A couple of weeks later, we usually start to see a high number of deaths, Beers said. Health officials did point out that Mississippi is a leader in antibody treatment. State Health Officer Dr. Thomas Dobbs said MAB has proven to be effective in treating COVID-19 patients. If you get COVID, get the treatment, Dobbs said. There are 249 locations across Mississippi that provide access to MAB. During a briefing Thursday, health officials again urged pregnant women to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Dobbs said 15 women have now died in Mississippi since the pandemic began, and 8 have died since July. The median age is 30. 60% were African American, and most were overweight, Dobbs said. One of the 8 was partially vaccinated, and the rest were unvaccinated, Dobbs said. Dobbs said 72 unborn babies have also died since the beginning of the pandemic in Mississippi. The stillbirths came after the first 20 weeks of pregnancy. To protect the moms and to protect our babies, we need to prevent COVID-19 infection, Dobbs said. In national news, droughts haves, have-nots test how to share water in the West. The stark contrast between the haves and have-nots 2 hours southeast of Portland has brought new urgency to efforts to share water. Proposals to create water banks or water markets would allow farmers with excess supply to lease it to those in need. The idea is part of a discussion about letting the free market play a bigger role in water conservation as human-caused climate change fuels drought and farmers run out of options. Yet the concept is fraught with risk and resistance. Many Western water markets compensate farmers for diverting water to wildlife in cities instead of fields. Far fewer avenues get water to farmers, and the biggest challenge is moving it between irrigation districts. The districts oversee water deliveries to customers and often operate as fiefdoms, each with water claims and history. Outdated infrastructure and bureaucracy, often compounded by rigid state laws, make water transfers difficult even between cooperating districts. In more national news, budget bill reopens moderate versus progressive divide for Democrats. One side is energized by the prospect of the greatest expansion of government support since the New Deal nearly a century ago. The other is fearful about dramatically expanding Washington's reach at an enormous cost. They're all Democrats, yet each side is taking vastly different approaches to guiding the massive $3.5 trillion spending bill through Congress. The party is again confronting the competing political priorities between its progressive and moderate wings. The House version of the bill that was drafted this week ushered in a new phase of the debate that could test whether Democrats can match their bold campaign rhetoric on everything from income inequality to climate change with actual legislation. Any stumble may have serious consequences for the party's prospects during next year's midterms, when it will try to prevent Republicans from retaking Congress. The finished product could alienate centrists who say it goes too far, or frustrate those on the left who argue it's too timid at a moment of great consequence. In business news, U.S. unemployment claims rise after hitting pandemic low. The number of Americans seeking unemployment benefits moved up last week to 332,000 from a pandemic low, a sign that the spread of the Delta variant may have slightly increased layoffs. Applications for jobless aid rose from 312,000 the week before, the Labor Department said on Thursday. That was the lowest level since March of 2020. Jobless claims, which generally track the pace of layoffs, have fallen steadily for 2 months as many employers struggling to fill jobs have held onto their workers. Last week's increase was small and may be temporary. The 4-week average of jobless claims, which smooths out fluctuations in the weekly data, dropped for the 5th straight week to just below 336,000. And finally, in more business news, stocks in lower after a brief afternoon recovery fades. Another day of choppy trading on Wall Street left stocks mostly lower, cutting into the major index's gains for the week. Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. It's our time for the Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich. Mary Ellen, take it away.
Hi, this is Mary Ellen with your Truth of the Day. Use your blessings to aid others. There are many ways to aid people who may be in need. One way is to share your material possessions. When you share your possessions, you come to the understanding that the true joy of ownership lies in using what you own to improve the lives of others. A possession that sits untouched or isn't enjoyed is of little value to anyone. Sharing what you own helps you to make the most of your material resources by bringing joy to others. You feel gratified that your possessions are being well used and appreciated. Sharing your possessions is only one of the many ways you can use your blessings to aid others. Bring joy to others through sharing your material possessions or one of your many other talented gifts from God, and share them with joy. And remember to enjoy your day.
Actor Michael Jai White is featured in today's Entertainment Spotlight, right here on Conversations Daily News. For Conversations Daily News, I'm Cyrus Webb with the Entertainment Spotlight. Actor Michael Jai White joined me recently on Conversations Lively radio show to talk about his remarkable acting career and the response from his fans. Here's a bit of our conversation.
But you've been in this unique position, Michael, of being able to do what you love, not only in front of the camera, but also in martial arts. What has that been like for you, Michael, to take your passions and to be able to share them with all of us?
Well, I mean, I'm blessed behind it because, I get a chance to do what's in my heart. And so, but I felt blessed early on because there was a time where I learned that I was following my dream. And once I learned that piece of information, I felt like, okay, I've already won. Everything else to me is just, it's gravy, So that's my attitude going forward. And no matter what, I'm going to continue to try to just do my best.
You've been able to reach people who enjoy, the dramas, enjoy the comedies, enjoy the action. How does that feel to have this cross-section of support from so many different arenas you've been a part of?
It feels great. I guess I keep moving forward, and I don't really reflect too much on it. I know it's a good thing.
Gotcha.
But I so much that I want to accomplish that I'm not very reflective a lot of the time.
Talk to us about that project and what it's been like for you to see the way that, especially during the pandemic, people have been responding to it.
Well, I'm finally getting the chance to play characters that are closer to myself. I understand I have to pay the dues and, play characters that sometimes, paint you a certain way. There were people that used to be just frightened of me because I played a lot of these rough characters, and friends of friends would say, "Oh, I saw Mike," but I didn't want to go up to him because, I'm kind of scared. I'm like, no. And my friends are like, no, he's a nice guy.
Cyrus Webb, Conversations Daily News. We thank you all for tuning in to this edition of Conversations Daily News. We'll be back to you guys on Monday with more news, Truth of the Day with Mary Ellen Ciganovich, and of course your Entertainment Spotlight. Until then, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Daily News today. Let's make today amazing. Take care.